Kitchen. I hope everybody is well. I hope you've had fabulous weeks and I hope you're ready to wind down and take it easy for the weekend. Before we do that though, we are going to be cooking up an absolute storm tonight. So we are making some amazing dishes. And for those of you who follow me on social media, you will know that we have got a very special person in my kitchen today.
Thank you very much.
This is Alex. Alex is the founder of
The Sussex Kitchen.
And it's a award-winning bakery that's very local to me here. And I've been doing a little bit of work with Alex, just sort of talking about social media and all of that kind of stuff. And I thought this was a really good opportunity to invite Alex into the kitchen and get him to cook with me. So what I want from you guys is a little bit of sort of helping him out, asking him questions. If there's anything about baking you want to know that you've been itching to find out, now is your opportunity. So get those questions coming in. Also, he's never done this before. So
Be gentle.
I want you to tell me what you think of him. In a nice way, in a kind way. But this is a really nice way that Alex can get a little bit of feedback from a live audience to sort of just say, oh yeah, we like the way that you interact with us, we like how you chat, all of that kind of nice stuff. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, Alex. What is it that you do at the Sussex Kitchen?
Well, we run an artisan bakery, make all sorts of different bread-related products and cure bacon and charcuterie. We do patisserie and viennoiserie, which is like croissants and filled stuff and bits and pieces like that. We've been doing online shopping for people that have difficulty getting out and about, and
so
also for people.
I can come to your website and I can order.
Yeah, so home delivery for all the people that want it, and we deliver people their breakfast for the southeast. So if you want coffee or croissant or whatever, and you're too lazy to get up early in the morning and get it before you have to put your shoes on, then we can have it there on your doorstep in the morning.
Right, guys, this is a really good chance for you to get your phones out.
Good stuff.
And give him a little follow. The Sussex Kitchen. Give him a follow and just have a look at some of their products that they've got on up for sale, which is
just a little plug.
Yum yum yum. We like a little plug. That's fine. Okay, so
I have a question for Alex.
A question for Alex.
Rob asks, keeping a sourdough alive when away for a few days. Mine always dies and I often have to start again. So lose the taste that comes with age.
Okay. Well, it's not essential that you have an old starter, but if you're going away for a few days, then knock it right back to like 5%, refresh it with the flour and water mix that you use normally, and then put it straight in the fridge. And then when you come back and you want to use it again, take it out and let it warm up again.
Amazing, thank you.
So if you put it in the fridge, it just sort of dampens it down a little bit?
It basically slows it down, yeah.
Good
So that will keep it steady. Could 3-4 days should be no problem, but you wouldn't want to do it much longer than that.
So before we go any further, this hang on, same old problem. My microphone. Right. Before we go any further, sorry about that. Before we go any further, we always do a little sort of shout out and a little hello. So I want to know if you guys are cooking with me. So everyone who is tuned in, I want you to say a big hello to me. Let me know who you are. Let me know where you are tuning in from, and let me know if you are cooking. So have we got lots of people saying hello?
Can you say hello to Jessica and Luna from Houston, Texas?
Hello Jessica, hello Luna, all the way from Houston, Texas. Welcome, thank you for joining me today.
We've got Gordon in Northampton.
Hi Gordon, are you cooking? I want to know.
Amanda is Prawns Delight in Yorkshire.
Yay Amanda, so you're cooking along, that's good to know. Have we got any of this?
Ildiko in Hungary is here.
Hello Ildiko, lovely. I'm so pleased you got your fennel seeds. I know you were really panicking about that, so welcome all the way from Hungary. Lovely to have you join me.
Helen is in Peterborough, Canada, is cooking today.
Hi,
Excited.
Helen, in Canada. Is it really cold? Apparently we're going to have a bit of a cold spell as well, so we're with you.
We've got Valerie in Lewisham is cooking.
Hi Valerie, welcome. What a lovely name, what a beautiful name. Welcome to my kitchen. Thank you for joining me today.
Robert in Scotland.
Hi Robert, you love your curries up in Scotland, I know you do, so welcome. Thank you for joining me today.
We've got Louise has asked, do you do vegan recipes?
Louise, we do, so Indian food, for me, I think Indian food is probably one of the best cuisines when it comes to vegan food. You can adapt and change loads of your recipes to become vegan. And bread, vegan.
Bread's mainly vegan, yeah. You put butter in it though.
But there's lots of alternatives, right? When it comes to bread.
Yeah, I mean, bread on its own is a vegan food. It's only when you start making it complicated that it becomes a different choice.
Okay, so thank you everybody, and if you are cooking with me, remember, take some pictures. Some nice behind the scenes shots are always welcome. Right, so let's get cooking, shall we? What we're going to do today is we are doing the lovely prawn dish. So it's a nice tangy, spicy prawn dish. But I'm also going to show you a vegetarian option of the same dish. So I'm going to make the masala and then I'm going to split it into two different pans. One we're going to put prawns in and the other one we're going to put chickpeas in. So I'll talk you through what we're doing here. And then we've got Alex who's going to talk you through the lovely bread that he's decided to come up with for this dish. So before we get going, this is what you should have if you are cooking along with me. You should have some onions for your masala, some fresh tomatoes if you've got them. If you haven't and you're using just the puree, that's fine too. My masala dabba or my spices, if I just talk you through what we've got here, the only ones we're going to be using today are cumin seeds, chilli powder, turmeric and some coriander seeds for that lovely zingy freshness. You should have a lime. If you haven't got a lime, lemon will do, or tamarind is a good substitute, but that's what I'm using. Ginger and garlic as always. I've got my lovely, amazing looking prawns here. And I'm going to cook these with coconut oil, but if you've got oil, that's fine too. And that's all you need for the curry dish. Alex, what do we need for our amazing bread that you're going to put together for us? Oh, I think we've got a question.
Just before you go into that, if I don't have enough prawns, I decided to use cod and prawns. Is that okay?
That's perfect. This dish it's all about that zing and the tang and the spice, so it works really beautifully with fish. You could even do this with chicken. You know, mix it up. You know, I always say use what you've got. There's no point going out spending loads of money on stuff when you've got a fridge full of food. Do not waste your food. Use what you've got. Absolutely, cod and prawns, great combo. So what we're going to do with this
for the bread, it is really simple. You just need flour and water, salt, and then we're going to laminate it a bit with the coconut oil.
Yeah, okay.
So that's going to separate the layers out and make it flaky.
Okay.
And that's it. That is it.
So, but do we need the dough to rest for a little while?
We'll need to mix the dough and then let it relax for a bit whilst so we'll do the dough sort of early on, and then.
So I think what we'll do, so the way that we're going to work it, guys, we're going to start with the dough so that it has a little bit of time to just rest. Why do we need to let it rest?
Well, when you're working with wheat flour, the gluten tightens up. If you don't let it relax, when you try and roll it out, it will just rip the dough.
Almost.
Yeah. So then you'll end up.
Get it nice and soft.
It's so you can stretch it out and make nice layers with it.
There you go. See.
I have a question from Helen. She's asked, can I use cumin seeds in place of fennel seeds?
Yes, you absolutely can. Yeah.
You can use anything you like.
So you can flavour these paratha. So paratha is essentially it's a fried bread. It's a flat bread made on a griddle, but you fry it with ghee or butter or coconut oil or whatever you might want. And you can flavour that up with anything. We're using, or Alex is using fennel seeds to give that lovely aniseedy flavour. But if you've got cumin, absolutely use cumin. You can also use kalonji seeds, which are like little onion seeds, all kinds of things. So shall we get going? Right, guys, if you are cooking with me, let me know. Give us a little thumbs up or a little shout out. Are you ready to do the bread?
Nina has asked, do I need to sift the flour?
No, I don't think so. Only if they've got bits in it. If you've got big bits in it, it's also easier to do it with white stronger flour if you're a beginner, because if you're starting using wholemeal flour or speciality flours, they can be a bit more difficult to work with. So I'll get the bread going. So we've got here, can't remember exactly how much flour. That's 300 grams of flour. So then we've got, we'll put a bit of salt in. So you want about 3 grams of salt, and then you want just enough water in there to bring it to a smooth consistency. Now it should be between 150 and 200 grams of water, but
sorry, I'm having technical issues. I always have technical issues. So whilst you're doing that, do you want me to toast off some of the spices for you?
Yeah, we can toast that now, but we only really need that when we start layering it up towards the end. Otherwise, when you're rolling it out flat, to get it really thin, it will cut through. It will cut through. So
there you go, guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to toast off the fennel seeds. Who knows why we toast spices? I think that's a really good question. Do you know why we toast spices? Don't tell them yet, if you know.
Well, I like doing it.
Is your water cold or tepid?
This is not a leavened bread, so it doesn't really make too much difference. The colder your water is, the stiffer the dough will be to a slight extent. But I don't think for this bread it will make too much difference. If it was leavened, then you'd want it, warmer if you want it to be faster, or like with the sourdough starter, you want it cooler if you want it to be slower. So I hope that helps.
Well, first of all, Andrew is the first person to say release the oils, aromatics, release the aromas and oils. Got it. And then Rob has said, can you give us those amounts again, please?
Okay, so you've got 300 grams of flour, you've got 3 grams of salt, and then the water is between 150 and 200 grams, and that it does change it can change quite a lot between different kinds of flour. So that is the difficulty about baking, is that you kind of have to get your hands mucky and do it, otherwise.
So you've got to feel it.
You've got to feel it. So it does take a little bit of practice, unfortunately, or fortunately. But
because one of the things that I quite often find is people will say to me, "Oh, I'm doing this bread. Can you give me measurements in terms of water and how much is needed?"
Yeah.
I struggle with measurements at the best of times, because I'm someone who does a lot of cooking by eye or by smell or by taste.
Yeah.
So that's quite an interesting point you're saying, that different kinds of flour actually will, if you're doing the same thing, it will require different amounts of water. Yeah,
they do. Wholemeal flours will generally be will be more thirsty. Yeah, getting there.
And then are you using plain flour right now?
This is one of Harry's flours. So this is
This is atta flour.
This is atta flour.
So this is quite a dry. This is what we call chakki atta, which means that it's been ground between 2 millstones, and it's the whole wheat germ, which is generally an Indian kind of flour.
Yeah, this wouldn't be similar. It wouldn't be that similar to what we would get off the shelf in England. So you can see it's a much yellower colour. And I think the grain, and I think the grain is a little bit different. You have the gluten in this one, I think, is stiffer and harder, more like pasta flour, durum wheat that you get from Italy.
But you could do this with just plain flour.
Yeah.
So this paratha, this laccha paratha, absolutely fine with plain flour. Not a problem at all to do that.
Can you use ajwain seeds?
Yes, you can use ajwain seeds.
Might just And I think we're there.
Does it come together?
It's come together. I'd normally do this in a machine, but this is...
There's one right behind you.
No, I did see that, but where's the drama in that? And anyone can go to a machine, can't they? But this means all you need is a bowl.
Steve from Virgin says hi.
Hi Steve, how you doing? Thank you for watching. I bet you're not cooking with me, are you? No. I'm just sort of disappearing off. I'm having a few mic issues, but we'll get through. If you can't hear me, I apologise. I'll just speak really, really loudly, and hopefully that'll get over to Hungary or Canada or wherever you might be. Okay, so if that's done,
I think that's done. I'll cover that over.
So we're just going to pop that to one side. We've got the fennel seeds, which have been beautifully toasted, and they smell amazing. So do you want to give those a little bash?
Yeah, if you smash them in there, I'm just going to wash my hands.
So we'll get those in there, and I'll get Alex to give those a bash, and we're going to start on our dish now. So if
anywhere
there you go, you pop that over there. Right, so we're going to move on, and we're going to start to make our amazing zingy prawns. Now, do you like curry? I should have asked you this before we started. Maybe.
No, I can't stand the stuff. No, I love it.
Thinks it's funny. What we're going to do first of all is we are going to marinate these amazing chunky prawns. And all I've done is I've deveined them and just sliced them out the back and just taken out that sort of not very nice bit. And so we're going to marinate these with some garlic, some ginger, some turmeric and some lime juice. So once you've done that, I'm going to get you to give 2 cloves of garlic a bash in there, and I'm going to cut some ginger off, and we're just going to give the ginger and the garlic a good bash, almost to make it into a paste.
Yeah.
And then that is going to go into the prawns. So if I give you a little bowl for that.
Yeah.
That can go in there. So that's the fennel seeds to go in our bread for later on. See, it's normally me picking that up, see? He's doing it all by himself. Perfect.
Okay.
If you're doing this at home, oh, I love it. Just smells amazing. So we'll keep that to one side.
House
so,
has said, can I just say from a fashion point of view, you're rocking the outfits, loving the colours.
and he's, look, a very special Indian top
a genuine Indian shirt, yeah.
He said he didn't think he'd ever have an opportunity to wear it, so
I'm so glad I was wrong.
Loving it. And we didn't even coordinate beforehand. We should have done that. Right, I'm going to put some
chuck it in.
Ginger in there. Bash it up. This is great. I like having a little sous chef. I normally have to do all the hard work.
I do washing up as well.
Oh, brilliant.
How much fennel did you use?
So, how much fennel would you use in the...
I think it's about 10 grams,
10
roughly.
grams.
But you can use it as much or as little as you like. It is always really great to combine it with fish. So anything fishy.
There you go. So anything fishy, fennel is a really good spice to use with that. Okay, so all I'm doing here is I'm just squeezing in some lime juice. And the reason I'm using lime is because it's a little bit more gentle. It's not as harsh as lemon, so we're just using a bit of lime. So that can go into there once it's bashed. So we've got ginger, we've got garlic bashed up to make a nice sort of paste.
Yeah,
and then I'm just going to get you a spoon and we'll just pop that into there. Thank you. And I'm also going to add into there a little bit of salt, just to get that. It's almost like you're starting the cooking process in here. Get that going. And we're going to add some turmeric. Now, when I worked at the restaurant, adding turmeric to seafood was something that all the chefs did. And it's, as soon as the seafood came in, they would coat it with a little bit of turmeric. And I always thought, oh, that's really good. That's like, it's a marinade. But the reason that they do that, and I love this, it's because turmeric has antibacterial, antiviral properties. So back in the day in India, whenever the seafood came out the sea, they would douse it in a little bit of turmeric just to get rid of any bugs or bacteria or anything like that. And that's why they use turmeric. It's not about that marinating process, it's more about that. It's amazing. So if you use that spoon, give that all a mix through for me.
Everyone's saying, Alex, you're doing so well so far. Really,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is tofu okay instead of prawns?
Absolutely. So yeah, if you are, if you're using, you can use tofu, mushrooms. Some nice chunky mushrooms would be a really good alternative for this dish. Chickpeas, like I'm cooking, absolutely anything like that will work. Anything that's going to take on those amazing robust flavors, it's all good. So if we put that over here, what we want to do next is we want to start that masala. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is with the onion, nice thin slices, and we're going to get those into the pan.
You just want it sliced, like
that. Or you. I'll tell you what. Just take the ends off.
Yeah.
See, we have to work together, and then you can just do nice thin slices like that.
Okay.
Okay. Whilst he's doing that, I'm going to get some spices in here. So I've got some coconut oil here, and the reason I'm using coconut is just because it's almost like a seafoody dish. So to me, it sort of shouts that coastal flavour, which is why coconut is going to be amazing in this. So a little bit of coconut oil.
Is haddock okay?
Haddock is absolutely fine. So any white fish, any chunky white fish will be amazing in this dish. And then I'm going to add some cumin seeds into here. As soon as you can smell that oil melting, it just brings out those amazing flavours. Okay, so how are we doing?
Doing well.
Doing well, doing good. So tell me, what is it about, what got you into baking? What got you into that line of...
Well, originally I was a chef, so I kind of became a baker by accident.
Okay.
I started up a catering business, and then that kind of was some days and not others. And so I started making stuff to sell in local shops. And originally it was, pastry and sweet things.
Okay.
But then I also made bread at the restaurant. So eventually it became more and more bread and less and less
cooking.
Less and less of the sort of tarts and I don't know, like patisserie stuff. But we're starting doing that again now. So
what is it about baking that you really, really love? Why is that the area that you sort of ended up in? Shall I take some of these?
Can you just slow down a bit?
Oh, okay, yep.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to...
Yeah, if I put some of these in. Okay, guys, all I've done is oil and some cumin seeds, and I'm just going to add in the onions. Now, I'm using more onions than in the recipe because I'm going to split this into two dishes. I'm going to split this into the prawns and the chickpeas, which is why I've done that. So that goes in there. I'm going to give this a stir. Okay,
Saying out to the natural, no pressure, just to let you know we've got 16 million people tuning in right now.
16 million people.
That's brilliant.
No,
that's better than my cookies.
Not quite, but almost. So has anybody got any more bread questions? If you've got any more bread questions, please do get them to us, because this is a really good opportunity for you to
More than happy to help.
His brains. Lovely, I'll get those in as well. Okay, that's looking good. Right, so we're going to give this a stir, and I want to get a little bit of colour onto these because colour is flavour. So we're going to cook this and let that just sort of start to break down a little bit. So whilst you are cooking your onions, we can start to prep all of our other bits and pieces. The other bits that we've got going in here are some garlic and some chillies. So what I'm going to do with my chillies is I'm going to cut them quite chunky because I want a little bit of kick to this dish. So if you don't mind, would you mind slicing up the garlic into slices, and then we'll move on to the chillies as well.
What
Sure.
kind of bread are you best at cooking?
I don't know. I think our white sourdough is probably the one that we're most famous for, the seeded sourdough.
Okay. What is it about sourdough? So sourdough is, it's monumental at the moment, isn't it? Everybody who is anybody is talking about sourdough.
It's been popular, and it just seems to get more and more and more popular. It's the one thing that I've always really liked about making bread is to do it consistently is probably one of the most difficult things, because every day is different, the temperature is different, the flour is different, the water is different. In order to try and get that, consistency is very difficult. So, I like a good challenge. So it's
funny, isn't it? You don't even think that that's going to have an impact. Oh, today it's a rainy day. That's not. You don't think that that's going to have an impact.
High humidity day, and it will take less water in the bread, or the 3 degrees, 4 degrees temperature means that the bread will take an hour less to make. It's quite a long process. It's sort of 12 hours or so, start to finish.
Why is it that some bread recipes call for cold butter?
Cold butter. Well, that bread recipes, normally for people at home, they call for warm butter because you're only working a little bit into the dough. But if you're working with cold butter, they're trying to incorporate the butter into the dough without heating the dough up too much and making it too lively too quickly, I think. But generally speaking, they only use the cold butter more likely for commercial recipes, I think.
Okay.
How do you put the butter?
In an oven.
Literally question after question. I love it, guys.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Keep it up.
Yeah, in an oven and very hot.
And then about the bread that you have just made, did you knead it or just incorporate the water?
Well, you need to knead it. You can, if you don't want to work too hard, what you can do is just make sure that it's reasonably smooth and then just leave it for ages. And that way it kind of knits itself, and then if you leave it for sort of half an hour to an hour, and then it should have knitted together a bit more, and then you only have a few turns and you get a nice smooth dough. So that's a labour saving little tip for you.
Robert's asked, I've got a sourdough starter since December, but it seems to be very lethargic, only active after feeding. What am I doing wrong?
That's a difficult one because there's so many different things that it can be. Are you removing enough? You need to remove at least 50% of your sourdough starter before you feed it again. If you're keeping a large amount and only putting a little bit on the top, that food will get gobbled up really quick. So you need to cut it down between 50-25%, and then keep doing it. But if you're not using it to make bread every day, it can seem quite wasteful because you have to chuck away all of this sourdough starter.
So I've got a question for you. Have you got any hints or tips on what you can do with that waste from your sourdough starter?
There's loads of things that you can do. I mean, the number one would be making bread. If you're making bread every day, then that's, the bakeries like us, we get through a lot, and we don't throw any away because we always use it. But you can do, for example, in Japan, they take their rice bran and they use the same thing to make pickles. So for example, you can put some vegetables like carrots or something, and then put your sourdough starter on the top. It will get really, really sour and smell a bit funky, and then it will go vinegary, and you can pickle things in it if you put it in a jar or something like that. That's a little bit of a weird one. But
there you go. There's a little thing that you could do, a little video for us about that on your social channel. Love to see that.
Someone has just asked, Alex, are you going to do any bread making lessons online?
Well, I reckon probably, yeah. I think this might be the first of a few.
See, people love bread. I think you've really got to understand. People absolutely love bread, and it's so on trend at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Get some classes going. People love it. Just coming back to our dish, I haven't forgotten you guys, I know you're cooking with me. This is what my onions are looking like at the moment. Can you smell that cumin and those aromatic starting
Yeah,
to
and with
come
the
through?
and with the coconut as well.
It's lovely, isn't it? So it's really important that we get a little bit of, we don't want too much colour with this dish because we're talking about a prawn dish. So the more colour you get on there, the deeper and darker your dish is going to be. So if you were cooking a lamb dish, for example, you take your onions to a really nice dark brown. But for this, because it's a nice light, zingy dish, we don't want our onions too dark, but we do want a little bit of golden colour to them. So
lots of people are saying they make crumpets with their sourdough waste.
There you go. That's a good idea.
brilliant.
I never even thought of that.
We've got 136 people watching you right now, Alex. How are you feeling?
Fine.
Oh, you guys are mean.
Yeah.
Okay, I love it, I love it. Right, so we're going to give this a little stir through. We've got our garlic here. The garlic is going to go in. Once we've got a little bit of colour to those onions, the garlic will go in. And what we are going to do is we're going to chop up our chillies. Now, when we are adding chillies, remember, Indian food isn't just about heat. Indian food is about flavour and layers of flavour and aromatics and all that amazing stuff. So always cook your dish to suit your palate. So for me, I am going to add, we're going to put in 2 chillies. So if you want to chop those up for me, you can leave them a little bit chunky. You can, you know, that sort of thing.
Sure. And
then we'll
seeds
add
in.
those. Always seeds in.
Always.
We've had this conversation many times.
I wasn't
So
there then.
Seeds in or seeds out.
Apologies.
You don't waste anything. If you don't want it as hot, all you do is just use half a chilli. The whole process of taking the seeds out and all, you know, you get it all over your hands. It's just such a faff. I don't believe in faffy cooking. So we are seeds in every time. I'm going to, oh sorry, we've got a question.
Louise has asked, why is store-bought sourdough so doughy and soft and mine isn't? What are they doing that I'm not?
I'm just going to get some water.
Why is the store bought sourdough? Pardon?
Why is it so doughy and soft and mine isn't?
Is that do they want it to be doughy and soft?
I think it's a criticism.
Yeah. I have to say it's probably. I have to say I don't actually buy store bought sourdough. So I'm not 100% sure, but I would say that if you want your dough to be softer, put more water in it. So if it's really easy to work with, you probably haven't got enough water in it. If you don't practice with it, you can get. It should be difficult. It should be tricky.
It should be quite tough.
No, the dough should be wet and so it
just sticks, doesn't it?
Yes.
Really difficult
So
and
with practice you can get a bit more water until eventually you have exactly what you're looking for.
Right. I'm just going to show you I'm just taking a photo, but before, just going to show you what the inside of the pan looks like. So they're starting to get a little bit of colour to them now. And into that now, we are going to add some garlic. Can you give me an indication, guys, if I'm going too quickly or too slowly? Let me know if you are still with me and you're still cooking. So I'm now going to put my garlic in. And we're going to add a little bit give that a little mix, and we'll let that come together a little bit. So let me know in the comments, is everybody still with me? Because that's very important. There's no point me cooking if you guys are having a crazy time in your kitchen and you're running around. Because we can slow down. We've got stuff to talk about. We can slow it down if you need to. Okay, right. That's looking good. So how are your curry skills?
All right. I've made a few. I've made a few curries.
That's always good to know.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Alex, what is your go-to baker kitchen tool must-have?
Go to baker
they love their tools and they love their equipment.
kitchen tool. Well, Again, you know, we probably a mixer would be a good place to start if you need a machine.
If you need a machine, get it?
Oh god.
See, I'm quite funny. I'm not really.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think some people are right speed, some people are a bit slower, so you could just take that.
Okay, we can slow it down a bit. That's not a problem.
What do you think the next baking trend will be in 2021 in London?
In 2021 in London?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Well, we just started doing cookie dough sandwiches. So
cookie dough sandwiches. Oh,
yeah.
like the
So it's a cookie with cookie dough in between. Two cookies with
I know
cookie dough in between.
So my daughter, she will make cookie dough and just eat it.
So that's going to be 2021. You know, right until the end, and probably the next few years as well.
So we'll get a subscription for those then, shall we?
Yeah, and we'll get some insulin in as well.
Oh dear, amazing. Right, do you want to give that a little mix for me, please?
Mhm.
What's your favourite curry?
It depends. I kind of, my two favourite are the sort of prawn, curry leaf, mango kind of ones.
Okay, so more South Indian flavours.
Yeah, or either that, or you can go the opposite direction and sort of lamb shank in plum sauce is quite nice. Yeah. I like that as well.
Like a lamb shank.
Yeah. Slow cooking and giving it a load of time.
Slow cook, and the flavours that you get is just amazing. Okay, so guys, all I'm doing now is I'm just going to get some fresh tomatoes ready to go into my prawns, but I'm just waiting for my onions to cook down a little bit. I'm assuming, because you're not doing the volume that I am, your onions will cook more quickly than mine. They'll get that lovely sort of browny golden tinge, which is what we're waiting for. But they're looking good. They're looking good. And again, as I always say, if you feel like they're catching on the bottom of your pan, don't panic. All you need to do, a little splash of water, and that just lifts everything off the bottom, and it just adds that lovely sort of caramelized flavor. So there we go. So has anyone got any more questions, guys? We've got more questions coming in.
How long do you need this dough for, and when do you know it's ready?
So this particular dough for the one we're doing today, is that what it's?
Yeah,
I think so, yeah.
it does vary from flour to flour, but you only really need to keep kneading it until it feels smooth, and then a lot of the work will be done as it's relaxing before you do the next stage. So you don't really need to work it out too much. You can test it when you come to do the next stage, so it can be quite advantageous to make it a good while in advance. And like I said, it's not leavened, so it's not gonna go over and bubble out of the bowl. It's just gonna sort of simmer down. So
when when we've made rotis and that kind of bread in the past, all you're doing with this kind of bread is you're just bringing that flour together. You don't need, as Alex said, you don't need to keep on kneading it until it just doesn't require it. So you literally just bring it together and just let it sit, let it have that moment to relax, because that's where you're going to get that lovely soft bounciness from, isn't it?
And but it is quite handy to knead it just so that you get a feel for the dough and how much water you need and so on. It gets you, if you do it fairly often, then you get a feel for it, and that's quite important to get as well.
It's the same with anything, isn't it? It's just that learning.
Well, we've got quite a few questions.
Oh, we've got lots of questions. Okay,
Sue
you might have to speak up.
Putting her onion in before her cumin because she's trying to keep up, and then accidentally everything else.
Sue, don't worry. If you put your Sue, if you've put your onions in and you haven't put your cumin in, don't panic. So carry on doing your onions. What you can do is either just tip your pan just up slightly, and then put a little bit of oil in the corner and just put some cumin seeds in now and let them sizzle, and then mix it all up. So don't panic, it's fine. You haven't ruined it, so that's all good.
Is powdered milk better for baking?
No, they're useful for different things. I probably use powdered milk more for making ice cream than I do for bread. So, but it does give you some convenience though, so that you don't have to have, you know, there's fresh milk all the time.
There's some Indian breads, the barv and so on, which are milk breads, and for those people do use powdered milk, and I don't know whether that's because it's an Indian thing that it's just easier to keep in your cupboards in India, so that's where it's all come from. So
I think that the reason why people might use it is you can fit more kind of substance in a bread if you're using dried milk, because it's all just the protein and everything from the milk, rather than so normal milk can maybe be a bit watery for what they want, if they want it to sort of tenderize the crumb or whatever. So that can be used. I've seen other things like cream cheese, all sorts of stuff being used. So it's
interesting, isn't it? Okay, I think we've
got loads of questions.
Okay, so we'll come back to the questions, but just as a recap, I know people are just sort of asking for a little bit of a recap. All I have done so far is we heated up a little bit of coconut oil. You can use normal oil. I put a teaspoon, quite a heaped teaspoon of cumin seeds in there, just getting them sizzling, get those aromatics coming through, get them releasing their oils, and then we put the sliced onion in there. Once we start to get a little bit of colour and it starts to get that lovely golden brown, if you just want to hold the pan up to the camera, once you've got that, you then add your slices of garlic. And with garlic, it's all about getting rid of that raw, acrid, sort of raw garlic flavour. So you must make sure that cooks through and cooks out. Then what we've got is some chopped up tomatoes, which are going to go into the prawns later. We've got green chilli, which has been sliced, and that's going to go in a minute. And then all we've done here is some garlic, some ginger that we bashed up in the pestle and mortar just to make a lovely paste, a little bit of salt and some turmeric, and we've just mixed that in to get that marinade going. And then with the bread, what have we done? Can we remember?
We've literally just taken the ingredients and made them into a ball, basically, and trying to make it a little bit smooth and give it a bit of time to relax before we do our next stage.
So that's all that we've done here. And then we toasted off some fennel seeds, which we have given a bash to, and that's what the fennel is looking like. So when you toast your spices, it just heightens their aromatics. And then we've ground them up and we've got them there, and we're going to be using that when we make our bread. Okay.
Has said, well done, Alex, you're doing great. Can you tell us about your favourite breads from around the world?
Oh, God.
Oh, interesting.
I think I should probably just tell you that Yulia's my wife, so I'm not.
You didn't have to say that.
I'm not answering any of her questions. And hi, Mum.
Okay, so once we've got that lovely brown colour, we are going to add our tomatoes into here. So in the recipe it says tomato puree, and absolutely you can use the tomato puree from a tube and squeeze that in. What I've done, because I'm separating these two into two different dishes, for the chickpeas I needed a little bit more moisture, so I've actually just blitzed up a tin of tomatoes, which I'm going to add. So I'm going to pop that in. Let me know if you are still not with me, or if your onions haven't browned enough. And I can just give you a little recap. So if you give that a stir for me. Sure. So I'm just popping that in.
Asked, when leaving dough to rest, is it better to wrap it in cling film or coat it in oil to stop it drying out?
That is a good question as well. I think it's kind of a little bit about what you prefer. Covering it in cling film is probably the most foolproof way, but the dough can stick to it if you're not careful. Sometimes you can sprinkle a little bit of flour on it before you cover it with a cling film. Otherwise, covering it in oil is a good method as well. If you live in if it's a cooler environment, sometimes it can cool down a bit quicker than with cling film as well. So there's pluses and minuses to all sorts of different ways. I quite like just a cloth.
Do you dampen your cloth? Do you put?
Not really anymore.
necessarily.
No, it becomes a bit messy when you're trying to make loads of them.
Well.
So, but when
As opposed to
when I was
one loaf that we might be doing at home.
when I started out, I did use dampened cloth so they didn't
Yeah.
skin. You don't want a skin on the loaves.
Okay, so I just want to show you the pan again. If you could just lift
Can
that
you just say how
up.
much tomato puree?
Yeah. So I'll just talk you through. I've put now into the pan. So if you just hold it up, that would be amazing. So in the pan, I've put about 3 to 4 tablespoons of tomato puree. If your tomato puree is quite solid, then you might want to just loosen it with a little bit of water as well, which you can add in. Once you've got your liquid in your pan, you're then ready for your second stage of spicing. So your first stage of spicing is when you temper your spices in oil. So you add your base flavour, which we did with the cumin seeds. Once your liquid goes in, you are then ready for your taste and your colour spices. So those are going to be a little bit of turmeric, because we've got some turmeric in the prawns as well. I'm also going to add some chilli powder, and then we're going to add some coriander seeds. Now, do you know what coriander seeds add to your food when you add them? Do you know in terms of the aromatics or the flavour that they add? Don't worry if you don't, it's fine.
I've always thought that they were a bit sort of citrusy.
Absolutely, yes, yeah. Perfect. So what coriander seeds do is they add zing. And one thing that I always encourage people to do whenever I do my classes or anything like that is taste your spices. The only way you're going to understand what your spices do to your food is if you taste them. And as soon as you taste coriander seeds, some people get a distinct orange flavour, some people get a distinct lemon flavour, so it's citrus, they add that zingy flavour. And once you know what your spices do and what they taste like, that will then inform you as to the kinds of dishes you should use them in. So prawn dish, absolutely you want that zing, don't you? So coriander is what we will add into there. So if you could just use that little bit. So all you do is, so that's coriander going in, coriander seeds. So no, forwards and back, there you go.
Okay, there we go.
Very clever.
When did you add the ginger?
So the ginger, I haven't put any ginger into the masala. The ginger has gone into the prawns with the garlic. So that's all in there.
Just say when.
Keep going for now.
Smells fantastic.
This recipe isn't in the cookbook, no, but it is obviously on the website. It's on the app, and that'll do, I think. I think we're all right.
I need one of these in my life.
They're great, aren't they?
Yeah.
They are amazing. So this recipe's on the website, it's on the app, it's not in the cookbook. Where else is it? I think it's in a couple of the ebooks as well. I'll just have to remember which ones they are. And actually, those of you who join me every week, you will know, but we have a merchandise shelf. So just under this video on YouTube, there's a merchandise shelf where I've got my ebooks that are there, and you can just go in and have a look. I've just launched a bread one. An Indian bread one. And there's a whole host of different ebooks, so do have a look at them. They're about $4.99 or something, but it's a really nice way of sort of checking out some of the recipes, and recipes that aren't on the website are in those books. And also we've just launched some of our other merchandise. So we've got our Friday night t-shirts, our Friday night curry club t-shirts, and various other bits. So do take a look. I'm also going to add a little bit of chilli powder in there. I hope I haven't done that already, because I think I'm losing my train of thought. We've got more questions.
Can you recommend non-purpose flour for making bread?
Non-purpose?
Yes.
Or one non-purpose?
Non-purpose? Can you just clarify what you mean? Who's that?
An all-purpose.
I think she means all-purpose.
Yeah.
All-purpose? Do you know what the name is? No. If that was your question, do you mean all-purpose flour? I think that's probably what they mean.
For making bread, generally we use a higher protein flour. But if you use only that, then you end up with quite a tough bread at the end. So my advice is if you start off with high protein bread flour and then try and cut it with normal flour more and more as you get a bit handier at bread making. It's an easier introduction.
It's a skill, isn't it? It's a skill.
Easier
it's
introduction.
a skill that you know, as you, the more you do it, the better you get at it, isn't it? It's the same as anything.
Yeah.
Go on.
Louise has asked, why doesn't my Indian bread puff up? Am I pressing it down too much?
So when you're making rotis, is this what you mean? So again, I'm coming back to Indian breads are a real skill, and it's taken me 35 years or something to get them right. Part of it is about the kneading process and getting them nice and soft. When you then put them on your griddle pan, it's about that temperature control. You've got to be able to control your temperature and do it really, really well. If it's on too high, they won't. They'll just cook too quickly and then they won't puff up. If it's on too low, you've just got to be able to gauge the temperature and when to turn them. So it should just be literally one turn and then you put it directly on the flame and they puff up. It's not really to do with how hard you're pressing it, it's probably to do with your temperature.
You could have the dough a bit too dry as well.
There is that as well, yeah. That's a good point. Okay, so I've added my second stage of spices into there, and we've got our turmeric's gone in, our chili powder's gone in. We've got, what did we put in there? Fresh chilies and garlic.
Coriander.
And coriander,
Don't forget that.
which you did beautifully. So that is your masala. Now that masala is looking quite dry, which is just what we want. So what I'd like you to do, Alex, is can you separate half of that into that pan? So this is where I'm just sort of trying to show you that Indian food doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to take you a whole day to prep it. We're going to do two dishes here from the same base masala, and we're cooking a veggie dish and we're cooking a prawn dish. And both are going to be amazing and they're going to taste different, but they've all come from that same base masala, which is just a really nice and easy way to cook. So I'm going to turn that on. Now, Alex, if you could get the chickpeas and pop them into that pan. Right, is everybody still with me? If you're cooking along with me, are you ready? Are we all at the same place? So chickpeas going into that one, and then our prawns are going into this one. Now, there we go. You've got a little spoon there to give that a stir. So how are we doing? Have we got any?
Tracy said, I'll need to wear the Friday Curry Club t-shirt to bed to wake up at 5 a.m.
Yay! Oh, is that Tracy? So Tracy, I have to tell you about Tracy. So Tracy is based in New Zealand.
Lucky place to be at the moment.
Amazing place to be. She puts her alarm on for a 5 o'clock wake-up call, and she joins our Friday night curry club every week without fail, and
Perfect.
then she'll cook the dish in the evening and she'll send us a little picture. So welcome, Tracy. You didn't say hello to me at the beginning. Hello.
Looking forward to seeing your pictures as well.
Special hello to Tracy all the way in New Zealand. Thank you for joining. I'm very privileged to have you. Okay, so the chickpeas have gone into this one. We are going to get our prawns into this one. Now, all of that amazing juice, that's all the lime juice that's in there. We want all of that in there because we want this zing and that amazing flavour. So, oh, hang on, I'm being waved at, told not to do it. Oh. Alex, smile into the camera. See?
I'm filming a video.
You're filming a video, so don't freeze.
So this is part of what I've been talking to Alex about and the whole social media thing. We try and create lots of content that sits behind the scenes so that we can use it and share with you sort of the pictures that go along with this. So I then, after this cook along, I probably spend an hour afterwards posting these pictures and so on.
You're supposed to be eating it.
Say that again?
Do you need to cook the prawns before adding them?
No. So if you with Indian cooking, if you think about it as someone in a village in India cooking away, they're not going to have, or they wouldn't have had, 2 hobs, loads of dishes that they can use. Generally, with Indian cooking, everything goes into one pot because that's the space that you've got. So we've got our masala, we've got our base done. I'm not then going to cook this in a separate pan because I want the flavour from this in there so I can eat it and enjoy it. I don't want to lose it in another pan. So the prawns go in to this masala. Oh, hang on, hold off again. Right, let's get this in, shall we? Yeah. So those prawns with that ginger, with that garlic, with all of the flavours going into this amazing masala, and we're going to give that a good old stir. Right, into that we're going to add a little splash of water because that's quite dry. I haven't got any water. And that's just going to hopefully transport some of the masala flavour into the chickpeas, which is really important, whilst I cook these prawns. I just have to show you, look at that. Isn't that a beautiful thing? What do we think, Alex?
They're looking good.
Look good, don't they? Right, so whilst this is finishing off, I'm going to hand back over to you, Alex, where you can do your amazing bread and I can look after these curries. So I'm going to make a little bit of space for Alex to do his thing. So this we'll be using in a little while. So we'll clear all this space so you can...
Can you just show how wet the masala is again?
Yep, I will do that in a minute.
Do you want a hand? I'll take
Yes,
the
please,
board.
could you? So we just pop that there. The masala for the chickpeas.
I'm not sure they just have the masala.
Okay, so this is the chickpeas. And remember, this has all come from the same dish, the same base sauce. And I've just added a little bit of water into there. Okay, so that is just going to simmer away very, very gently. I'm going to put that on the hob there.
Do we have somewhere warm where we can
We
put
just
this?
need to melt it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do that over here somewhere. And then this is the prawns. I haven't actually mixed them in yet. Right there. And then if you want to have a little wipe down.
Yeah. Do you have a...
There's a cloth just there, I think.
Okay, and then I'll need a bit of spare flour.
Yep. I will sort that out. So let me just show you what they look like. Look at that. If only you could smell what is going on in this kitchen, I think you'd be in your happy place. Happy? Lovely. So that's going to cook away. Now we're going to move over to do the breads. Let's see. We're just getting organised. So who knows what this is? Who knows what this is? I know there's a lot of you who know what this is. What is it? Tell me, tell me, tell me. I still want this to, it's nearly melted. How are we doing? Are people still with me? Are you still cooking? Are you still with me? So you're in an Indian's house.
Okay.
We always have spare a little bit of flour. So this is what I would use when I make my rotis to put them in. So
Okay.
that's there. You're using that
Andrew and Rob have said tawa.
tawa. Absolutely. This is my tawa. Okay, this is an Indian griddle pan called a tawa. This is what we make all of our rotis on, and paratha. You can do all kinds of amazing. You can make naan on here.
Yeah.
So what I tend to do is you can wet them, put them on, and then you turn it over and you put them directly over the flame.
Yeah.
So lots of fun stuff with that. Okay, right. So we're going to move on to do the bread. Guys, one thing I will say is, if you've got your prawns in, do keep an eye on them. You do not want to overcook them until they turn into plastic. So just make sure that once they are done, once they've got that amazing sort of colour through them, then you need to get your tomatoes, which you've already chopped up, and we're just going to put those in there just for a little bit of extra zing and a little bit of texture. So do keep an eye on your prawns while we're doing this amazing fun stuff. Right, over to you, Alex.
Okay.
What are you going to show us? He's going to show us some magic.
Hopefully this will go well. Yeah, so you take your dough, you take off a little piece, probably, well, I'm using about a sixth, something like that. So
if you show them on the camera, they'll be able
Yeah.
to see the size.
So you just, all you need to do is just find a piece kind of like that and rip it off. You've got to remember that you only want enough for one person to accompany the food. So you don't want to be making a great big thing. Also, you're restricted by the size of
your pan.
Your pan.
When I was, I still, as a kid, vivid memories of my dad making rotis. And my mum would always do the rotis and the breads and stuff, but then that one occasion that my dad thought he would do it, he'd make them so big they'd hang off the sides of the tawa, and it just shows that lack
He was a
he was a
man
big
of
man. He was a big man.
Man of appetite.
Yeah.
Anne has asked, can you use the tawa for making tortillas?
You can use the tawa to make tortillas, absolutely. It's the reason that we use this is that because it's so thin, it reacts to the temperature, it reacts to the flame really, really quickly. So you can sort of increase the heat and it happens really fast, and then you can decrease the heat, and so you can just regulate it really, really quickly and easily. So tell us what you're doing, Alex.
So I'm just rolling it out, and I'm trying to roll it really nice and thin. And that way you can get nice thin layers. I'm having difficulty stopping it from sticking at the moment. So I'll just roll it out from the inside. You don't need to be too neat on this stage, because you're gonna
So what
scruff it
method
up.
are you going to use? So that when we've made paratha in the past, there's lots of different methods.
Well, I reckon that we can give a few different ones a go,
Yeah, okay.
and then that way we've covered more bases. Okay, so
Exciting.
you get it nice and thin.
That's melting a little bit now. So all I'm doing is just melting that coconut oil so that we can spread it on the bread.
Let's see. Yeah.
So
That seems
I
to be
reckon if you
working.
put your prawn...
I'm gonna do a couple of other ones.
Okay,
whilst
so
we're
he's going
waiting-
to keep...
whilst we're waiting for the oil to melt.
So how do you think he's doing at the moment? Is he showing off enough? I think he's doing quite well. So paratha and Indian breads are hard to do. So you've impressed me so far. What do you guys think? Let us know.
What is the tawa made from?
It's cast iron. Tawa is made. It's a cast iron bit of kit. You can get them. Just Google them. You'll find them. They're really inexpensive, but they are a brilliant bit of kit to have in the kitchen. If you guys put your prawns on at the same time as me, they should be coming to the point where they're nearly done. So can I just ask you to add in your tomatoes and then give that all a good stir?
Alex, you're getting a lot of love. Bravo, Alex. You're
Thank you.
You're awesome, doing great, fab. We're loving you.
It's suddenly very hot in here.
Oh, I'm loving this. This is looking really good.
Oh no, keeps on catching.
So these are, I'm just going to show you, look how thin they are. He's doing really well. They look really good.
So let's try and...
So we're doing two different versions.
Yeah, we can do two different versions.
Okay. So a paratha is it's an Indian flaky bread, and the key is to get it flaky. And you can do that in a number of different ways. You can do it by layering. You can do it, I think you're going to show us a few little tricks. So I'm really excited.
I'm sure you know more about it than I do. So
I'm really quite excited because I think this is going to be really special. So if you are cooking along with us at home, just take a pause and just watch for a minute, and then we will...
Just need to get a bit of...
Is the tawa crepe thin or fire thin?
Is it
more crepe.
crepe? If you haven't got a tawa, you can do this in a frying pan. The reason that these are better is that you don't catch the side of your hand on the edges of a frying pan, but a crepe pan will work very, very well. So, is that all right?
Yeah, I'm sure that will.
You're
That will
going
get
to use your
there.
brush.
Yeah. Well.
See, he's a baker. Right, I'm going to turn my chickpeas and my prawns off because I don't want them to cook too much. They are looking amazing. So tell us what you're doing, Alex.
So I'm just brushing the coconut fat over one side of the dough, the crepe thin dough. And then normally what I would do is put a little bit of flour in it, just to stop it from, just to kind of hold the oil in that layer as well.
Can you zoom in there to
Yeah,
what?
I'm zoomed in.
Okay. So just move these out of the way so we can see, because this is quite important.
Yeah. So I've seen it done where they pleat it, but
Concertina it, yeah.
yeah, but I have to say that I prefer to just roll it down, and then
So all he's doing is just folding, little
Yeah.
bit of oil, folding again. So a paratha is all about layers, and this is how you get them. So there's lots of different methods, but this is looking pretty good to me. Looking very good.
So we've now got that.
Do we want? Oh, do you know what? I'll just put that there so we don't forget that.
Yeah.
So it's all right. We can just put it on the top, can't we? So the fennel, which we toasted and ground, is there, and Alex is just going to add a little bit of that.
I had a question from Nina. Should you add your tomatoes to oyster mushrooms?
It really depends. If you are doing this with oyster mushrooms, you absolutely can put tomatoes in there. There's nothing wrong with that. If you don't want it to be too tomatoey, then you can either reduce the amount of tomatoes you put in, or you can miss them out. But you know, if you like tomatoes and you like that sort of tomatoey masala, absolutely, there's no harm in doing that at all.
And then you take the final.
So you then
roll it up into a coil.
So if can you just show what you ended up with?
I will do it again in a slightly different format. So you end up with a kind of a little cylinder rolled up with the layers in between.
So this is what when I worked at the restaurant, when we had when we were doing prepping the breads for the evening, you would do this about, I don't know, 100 times, because you just got to get everything ready in the morning. But look.
And then you want to just try and consolidate it so that it's now in something that you can roll out a bit better. So
what you've done is you've got all of those layers in there, and then you've just squished it back up. So this is when I write recipes, especially for breads, it's really difficult to articulate how you do this in words. You have to actually see it. So it is
much better to see it.
Can you see that?
And even better to do it.
It's a fun way to do it, isn't it?
Yeah, and it makes a nice mess, and you can
look at that.
Get
and
your
I can
hands
smell
dirty.
that fennel now. It's really
very,
very nice. So we're nearly there, guys. We are almost there. Friday night curry club with the amazing Alex from the Sussex kitchen.
Thank you very much.
It's really nice to have somebody else cooking and to be able to share the experience, because I do this, I say on my own with the family. It's really nice to have you taking some of the questions, which is good.
It's a real pleasure. I don't get out and get to do much cooking. Is it all right to use a knife?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Okay. So this one, this is a really special technique that you use to make, again, laccha paratha. But can you just watch what he's doing?
So all I do is to cut it into strips. I don't go all the way to the outside, so that you have a piece that you can leave on to give it, a little bit more of a backbone. So, but you don't want them too thin like spaghetti, and you don't want them not too thick. Oh, he says ripping.
That's
one.
All right, it doesn't matter.
And then you just kind of put them all together, roll them up. It doesn't have to be neat. You just roll it up together.
It's almost like a rope, isn't it? You're just sort of like squishing it together. So the same as you've done with this. You sort of separate it all out, do the layers, and then you bring it back together. You do exactly the same thing here.
And then you roll it up into a cylinder. This gives you a little bit more random to it. Whereas the other one can be a bit more controlled. So
if you could just hold that up and just show. So
you can see all of the different layers that want to come out of that. Hopefully we'll get that to come out when we cook it.
So not only has he got his Indian shirt on, he's actually doing a little bit of proper Indian. So this stuff is hard. Doing Indian breads is hard. So I'm very, very impressed. Okay, so next stage, what do we do now, Alex?
And now we roll them out, and hopefully this won't stick as much as last time. So.
And again, it's important that you don't make them too big, because as much as you want them crispy, you want them soft in the inside, don't you?
Yeah, you want to have nice crispy crunch on the outside and but a softer texture on the inside. Well, that's how I like them anyway. So I think any bigger than that, and I think we'll. Do you normally brush them with oil first?
So I put them on, and then I do one side, and then I'll brush
and then
it
flip
when
it
it's
over.
on there. So this is the bit. So guys, when you're doing this, be careful you don't burn yourself. So on your hand, and then very gently on, without doing yourself an injury. Perfect. Look at that. See? So I've had this on now for a while, but it's on a gentle heat so that it's all heated up equally all the way around. And as soon as it starts to cook, you will see little bubbles appearing on the top. So keep an eye out for those. It's really important that, because that means that underside is cooking and it's pushing in warm heat and air into that paratha.
Tread the Globe was saying hi from Turkey.
Hi Tread the Globe, how you doing guys? All the way from Turkey, and you've tuned in. I bet you get some great breads over in Turkey. I saw your live this morning as well. Lovely, lovely, lovely to see you guys. So when you look at the underside, so that's what you want. You're starting to get a little bit of colour, and that's exactly what we want.
That brush is heat proof, so you don't have to worry about it.
So what I tend to do is, once you've got a bit of colour on the underside, you flip it over, and then a little bit of oil. See, I'm doing it. I'm taking over, aren't I? I can't help it. It's this is why people come to my house for dinner. But actually, we get invited to people's houses for dinner because they know that I'm just going to end up in the kitchen cooking it. Well, that's what used to happen in the olden days. I haven't been invited anywhere. Right, so you can see it's starting to puff up, yeah?
Can you go over both of the techniques that you did again?
Yeah. So we'll just cook this one. But so look, this is the key. See how it's puffing up? You're getting that hot air going in, and that is what's going to make it lovely and soft inside, as well as the oil that you've put inside. So as soon as you turn it, a bit more of the oil. And then we can see which technique we think works the best, can't we? Oh, Alex, these are amazing.
I'm glad you like them.
Oh. So you will see the colour change, and you can see the lighter bits are the bits that are cooked through, and then you've got some darker bits that need a little bit more cooking. So I'm just going to turn it up a bit, but it's starting to puff. It's starting to do that amazing thing that only Indian bread can. Look at that. It's a beautiful thing. So we'll let that cook.
Roll out. How thick is the raw rolled dough? About 50p coin or thicker?
No, thinner.
Yeah, a little bit thinner than that.
Thinner than 50. So if it's too thick, you're not going to get the air going into it. It's just going to turn out into a brick. So this is where asbestos hands helps. If you can't do this, which, you know, as I said, years of practice, you need a spatula or something or tongs. But I'm just going to get this ready here. Happy with that?
Yeah, it's looking very nice.
Look at that. It's a beautiful thing. Right, I'm going to put that on there, and then I'll let you do that second one. And I'm just going to add some little final touches to our curry. So I'm just going to chop up some coriander to go on top. because that is the key final ingredient we're going to add. So if I just move this out the way, and then we can...
It's a bit of a mess, doesn't it?
The aftermath.
Yes.
Right, I'm going to wipe this up because we are going to do some lovely, lovely, lovely plating up. So, what have you thought about my Friday night curry club? You came here to find out what it was all about.
Well,
what do you think?
It's been an afternoon of schooling, I think. Yeah, it smells delicious, and I'm starting to get really quite hungry.
That's what it's all about. See, for me, food is about bringing people together. It's about sharing the love. It's about cooking together, and that's what the Friday Night Curry Club's all about. And I'm very, very fortunate to have such an amazing group of people to share it with. And hopefully you've enjoyed it.
Yeah, I haven't been able to do any nice cooking for some time now.
Look at that.
Especially...
That is almost perfection, isn't it?
Ooh,
look at
a
it.
bit hot.
Right. So I'm just going to finish off the dishes. I'm going to put a little bit of fresh chopped coriander in both the prawns and the chickpeas, because it just adds that amazing zingy freshness. I'm also going to put a little bit more of a squeeze of lime juice into the prawns. I'm going to come around this side so I can start to dish up whilst you are just finishing that beautiful thing off. Right, I'm going to
We've got
look at
200
that.
people watching right now.
200 people. So
I was going to go for the pancake flip.
So usually what
200
happens...
people watching you, so...
Well, definitely doing it then.
That's amazing. That's looking good. And then the chickpeas are going into this bowl here. Now, this is supposed to be quite a dry dish because what we're doing is we're using the breads, we're using the paratha to scoop up those amazing flavours that we've put in there. So just pop that in. I'm just going to add a little bit of fresh coriander just to add a bit of zing. And I'm going to squeeze in some lime into this one as well, because that's looking good.
Yeah.
You happy with that?
Yeah.
So if you want to pop that onto that plate, perfect. Just turn that off. So there we go, guys. Another Friday Night Curry Club done, and we have cooked for you some spicy, tangy, zingy lime prawns with an amazing vegetarian version of just some sort of spiced chickpeas, and the final aromatic that I'm going to add to this, you know I love it, amchur, dried mango powder, and that just gives that lovely zing to any sort of veggie dish. So I'm just going to do the final little sprinkling of that. And then 2 versions of these amazing paratha. And I just want to show you what you do is you put it in your hands like this, and then you just squish it. And then you get all of those amazing layers coming through. So, do you want to have a little taste?
I think so.
So, if you want to dig in and have a little taste. So that's what you get, look. Look, flaky, light, amazing deliciousness. So which are you going to go for?
I'm going to go for
both.
I'm going to go for, well, I'll start with the chickpeas, shall I?
Go for it, yep. Do you want a little fork?
Thank you.
Looks pretty good to me. So again, as always, like I say every week, if you have been cooking along with me today, with us today, please do take some pictures and share them either on my app or on Instagram, but just make sure you share them because I love to see what you've created from us cooking together, and I will share those with you as well, Alex, so you can have a look at the amazing work that they've done, especially those people who've cooked the paratha. I hope you have enjoyed it. I hope you've had fun, and I'm going to let you go and enjoy the rest of your Friday night with your family and with this amazing spread of deliciousness. Thank you, Alex, for joining me.
Thank you very much.
I hope you've enjoyed it.
It's been a pleasure.
I think you've been absolutely amazing.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
It's you are well. If you can make paratha like that, you're coming back to my house on Sunday morning,
Yep.
which is when we have paratha.
You're too kind.
Would you do it again?
Definitely, at the drop of a hat.
It lets you do your creative thing.
Exactly,
Doesn't it?
exactly.
Now, if you haven't already done so, please give the Sussex Kitchen a follow on Instagram, on Facebook.
Everything.
Everything. Give him a follow. Let's give him a boost. Let's get
Thank
him
you very much.
doing his bread classes because that's what it's all about. We all want to learn more about bread. Thank you for joining me. Have a great weekend. Big love.